Joining us now is Politico's congressional reporter, Nicholas Wu. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously we're talking about the government shutdown. We're seeing the impacts to flights. I've talked to friends who say that there's no cars at rental car places. This is having a ripple effect across the country. We've talked about SNAP benefits. How likely is the House to pass the measure as drafted today? And what are some of the obstacles that could derail it?
So the House is coming back tomorrow for the first time in quite a while. They stayed out of session for the duration of the government shutdown as a negotiating tactic. And they're scheduled to come back into town, late in the afternoon or so, which would tee up final passage of this funding deal probably Wednesday evening. Now, the question is what obstacles there might be to get it through the House. There will be a few road bumps along the way. Some hardline conservatives will vote against any kind of spending bill, like Tom Massey of Kentucky. And on the Democratic side, there are quite a few Democrats who are going to oppose this bill, but there are other centrists from purple districts who might end up voting for it anyway. This all means that there will be enough folks to get this over the finish line.
All right, but one of the notable issues is that the funding deal does not include an extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies. It was one of the big holdups. So what does this compromise mean? And it almost feels pointless to go this many days and it still didn't happen.
The extension of the healthcare subsidies was the line that a lot of Democrats drew in the sand when it came to this funding deal. They said that any kind of spending agreement had to include some kind of extension of these Affordable Care Act subsidies or address larger issues in the healthcare system. That's not in there. Instead, they're getting some sort of commitment to hold a vote on some kind of healthcare subsidy package down the line. And this had a lot of Democrats really mad because they held up for this long. They took the political hit on it. They faced all this heat from their constituents. And also they believed that they were winning the messaging battle. They believed they were winning the political fight against Republicans in this. And so that's why we're seeing such a large backlash on the left to their leadership for eventually allowing this deal to come together.
Doesn't this just show that the Democratic Party is still just split, wide open?
It very much shows the splits that have been in the Democratic Party really all year when it comes to figuring out how to handle Trump, how to handle things like government funding. In March, we had a very similar fight unfold when some Democratic senators, including Chuck Schumer, the minority leader, eventually voted to advance a Republican-backed funding bill. And quite a few Democrats then called for Schumer to step aside. And we're seeing a repeat of that play out now, even as Schumer voted against this bill.
And of course, there's so much to follow here. What do you predict happens after the shutdown closes, especially with those healthcare subsidies and issues? How does that eventually get resolved, or do Democrats just let go?
Democrats have been vowing to keep up the fight on healthcare subsidies, but really, after this bill goes through, they've lost one of their big leverage points, so to speak, in forcing any kind of action on these subsidies. Republicans are very much split among themselves about how to address them. It gets into all sorts of thorny issues about what to do about Obamacare that they would rather not touch. And, it's not something that they're really itching to bring up on their own. So that's why Democrats are talking about even long shot procedural options to try to force some kind of ACA subsidy deal to the House floor. Or really playing a role in some sort of bipartisan package that could come together in the Senate. But there's not a clear outcome.
Aren't we just going to be right back here in January? I have a headache just thinking about it.
We absolutely are. This is much of the way Congress operates its spending bills right now, these kind of short-term punts. And so, a lot of lawmakers breathed a sigh of relief that they could, punt this funding deadline past potential disruptions to Thanksgiving travel, past Christmas and all the issues that come along with that. But, come January 30th next year, all these dynamics are going to be the exact same. And so unless Congress can come together on a spending deal for the entire fiscal year, which, there's a lot of obstacles to that. It's something that rarely happens these days in Congress with things so divided and the margins so tight, we'll be in the same place again.
Okay, very reassuring, yes. All right, thank you so much for being with us this morning.